I'll say this. I'm gonna start off by saying I love Brad. I mean, not Brad. Tim Bradley. I love you. You know what I'm saying? You my man. I rock with you. You cool peoples, all that. But you're a horrible commentator. He's very vice versa. You know, I think he switches a lot. I think 1 minute he's your best friend in the ring, then 1 minute he's your worst critic. You know what I'm saying? I think he started off saying like I was doing one of the best things I could be doing in the fight, you know, and then like you said, he switched and turned around and now he doing this, now he basically looking bad. He better get his hands up before he get knocked out. Then he threw a wild right hand. He missed completely. And he was like, yeah, that's one of them shots he might need to get hit with before he wakes up. And I'm like, what? He just missed like right past my face. Like it wasn't even close. It didn't hit my glove, none of that. So what made you say something like that? So
Rowdy Nation TV, welcome back to the channel. Do me a favor, guys. Click that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so anytime I drop a video, you guys can be notified. Let's get to it. All right, where's my sports fans at? For all the sports fans who did not know, who follow sports, whether it's basketball, baseball, boxing, UFC, or UFC, well, ESPN really don't do a lot of UFC fights, but UFC has laid off some of its biggest stars when it comes to commentating and sports personalities over at ESPN. Now, that clip that I showed you at the beginning of the clip was Gerard Anderson, our future heavyweight. I think he's one of the top contenders that's going to be a heavyweight champion here pretty soon, right? Talking about your boy Tim Bradley. Now, Tim Bradley was not one of the people who got laid off. Now, some of the biggest stars that got laid off was Jeff Van Gundy, Max Kellerman, Keyshawn Johnson, Suzy Kolber, and Jalen Rose. Now, we all know, if you're a sports fan, that Jalen Rose, former basketball player and a sports analyst for ESPN, had to apologize about some things he had to say regarding the coach for the Boston Celtics, right? So he had to apologize for some things that he had to say, and he ended up still getting fired amongst the I think it was like 20 or so people that got fired, right? Now, ESPN is saying that the firings had nothing to do with like their performance. They said it had to do with labor and cuts, you know what I mean? They said, you know, some of these people's salaries are enormous, and I guess the ratings, you know, if you're not making the ratings, you know, to justify your salary, I guess they'll let you go. But what I want to do here is show you 3 people that I think that should have been fired instead of the people that they did fire. And I just know 3, and I'm starting off with Tim Bradley. Now, Tim Bradley, if you guys are any boxing fans and you follow the boxing sport in the last 10, 15 years, Tim Bradley used to be a very, very good fighter at the 147-pound division. He became a champion at the 147-pound division by beating Pacquiao. Now, honestly, I think he had 3 fights with Pacquiao. I don't believe he won not one of those fights, right? And right now, he's an analyst. Him and, who is it? My other guy, Andre Ward. Now, see, Andre Ward, he's leaving, but he didn't get fired. But like I said before, you heard the heavyweight champion say that Tim Bradley is very biased in his commentating, say that he rocked with him, said that he rocked with him, but he's very biased. He said 1 minute he's your best friend, and then the next minute he's just like, he's on some other stuff, right? Now, Jeff Van Gundy, I watched him. Him and what's the other brother's name that he that's mostly on the East Coast. I'm in the Midwest, but sometimes I watch him on ESPN. Not a lot, but sometimes I catch some of the late basketball, some of the early basketball games. You know, with Jeff Van Gundy and this other brother. I can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry, guys, but I can't remember his name. And then Keyshawn Johnson and Max Kellerman. I didn't even know they had this show. This little show that they got. I didn't even know they had this show, but apparently that show is not getting any ratings, right? Now, Jeff Van Gundy, Jalen Rose, and who else? Max Kellerman. Now, I'm kind of on the fence with Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman used to be a very good analyst when he worked for HBO. You know, he was there with Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley. And Jim Lampley, that's when, because you guys know that Floyd Mayweather, he made HBO. But soon as they start bad-mouthing Floyd Mayweather and he left to go to Showtime, HBO went right under, right? They never had any more good fights. Matter of fact, they don't do fights at all anymore. So Showtime is the major network right now that I can say that's putting on a gang of boxing shows. Now, Kendrick Perkins is another brother that he's an on-air personality. Kendrick Perkins used to play back in the day, you know, for I think it was Oklahoma. I know he played for Oklahoma. And I'm just doing this off the rip. I ain't even looking at nothing, guys. I'm just doing this off the rip. I know he played for Oklahoma. I don't remember the other teams that he played for, but now he's an analyst, right? And it seems like this brother, I'm sorry, I mean, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when he was playing, I used to be like, man, this dude is big for nothing. I mean, as big as Kendrick Perkins was, man, he didn't do, I mean, he didn't rebound like Dennis Rodman could rebound. He didn't shoot, he couldn't shoot. As big as he wasn't a threat down in the paint. So now he's a sports analyst on ESPN. And when the Nuggets was making their run for the championship, here he come with this race stuff, talking about my boy Jokic was stat packing. How would you stat pack? You know what I mean? I don't even know how you would do that. I'm just gonna throw the ball up and let it hit the room and try to get another rebound. How can another team let me stat pack like that? I don't understand that. And then when he brought the racing, about the MVP and all this stuff, I'm not gonna get too deep into that. He's just not my really cup of tea. But he is entertaining a little bit. But they kept him. I'm not really mad that they kept Kendrick. But all these other on-air personalities that they didn't keep, Jalen Rose should have stood his ground on what he said. Now we're gonna get into what he said because I know you guys are probably like, man, what the hell did he say? Well, you know what I'm saying? What did Jalen Rose say? Well, we're going to find out here what Jalen had said and why he had to, step back on that. Well, basically what he said was that the Boston Celtics coach that took over Steve Nash's place, the brother, that's his name is Kobe or something like that, but the new brother that took over for the Boston Celtics, he was having some kind of charges, sexual assault charges being thrown at him. And Jalen Rose said, well, we got his name. His name is all in the media. Why isn't her name in the media? And I guess there was a whole lot of backlash because he made that statement, right? And so, he had to come back and he had to apologize for that. And I'm like, man, you need to stand firm on what you believe in. And, you should have known this is how I am when you hired me. I'm going to say things that I feel. I'm not going to be disrespectful, but I don't think that's anything to be fired for. But they try to say that didn't have anything to do with it. They was trying to say this wasn't performance based. It was all about the money, and that could be true. I'm not doubting ESPN saying that it was all about the money. But Max Kellerman, Tim Bradley, Kendrick Perkins, and there's another dude named Nick something. I can't remember his name, but he's on this other basketball show. I think those guys should have been fired. I thought they would be on my list to be getting fired, but I guess not. I guess when you get on there and you talk sensible you're a commentator that talks sense. I guess they don't like that. I guess they like for you to be, I don't know, man, like you to get up there and just say some of the most ridiculous things that can come out your mouth, and then it's controversial, and I think that brings people to sit and listen to you and not really like you, but then they tune in to hear you say some foo-foo. You see what I'm saying? So right now in the community, anywhere and I just say anywhere, all on YouTube and everything. If I'm not mad at it, but it's all got to be about the foo-foo, not learning something. Brothers don't want to learn. Not just brothers. When I say brothers, I mean people. People don't want to learn nothing nowadays. The people's attention spans is like that. It's here 1 minute and then it's gone. But like I said before, Tim Bradley would have been number one on my list to get rid of. I'm telling you, that brother right there, he's pushing this narrative versus PBC. And for all my boxing fans who know about PBC, we're just going to talk about this a hot second. I just got to get this off my chest. Tim Bradley is pushing this narrative with PBC. PBC is owned by Al Heyman, right? Al Heyman happens to be an African American, right? When Al Heyman came in the game, I heard he came in with like $500 million, bought up a bunch of TV dates, took fighters from Oscar De La Hoya, took fighters from Top Rank Boxing, which is Bob Arum. I heard he has maybe about 80 fighters, right? All the fights right now PBC are putting on the best fights. About 6 to 7, 8 months ago, Tim Bradley and some more people from ESPN were saying that PBC was broke and that would be going out of business. But look what's going on now. All the boxing fans who truly know, look, Canelo done signed with the PBC. Terrence Crawford done signed with the TVC, which has been a long time coming. We should have done a long time ago. Now we got the Errol Spence fight, the Terrence Crawford fight. Canelo's going to fight Jamal Charlo, one of the twins. Man, boxing's in a good place now, and it's all because of PBC. But you got Tim Bradley, who works for ESPN, pushing the narrative that PBC is bad for boxing. So he's number one on my list that should have been fired from ESPN amongst all the 20 firings that they had. Now that I got that off, Andre Ward, I did not know that brother was leaving after this fight that just happened over the weekend with Jared Anderson. Jared Anderson had a fight over the weekend with Charles Martin. Like I said, Jared Anderson's only 23 years old, up-and-coming heavyweight boxer. He's the one in the beginning of the clip that said that Tim Bradley is horrible. He's a horrible commentator, and I can only agree with him. I'm not spending too much long on this video. I just want to get that off my chest, mainly about Tim Bradley. Andre Ward, he didn't get laid off, but that was his last fight. That was his last fight commentating at ESPN. And I don't know, maybe he can go to the PBC. He will be a good fit at the PBC, commentating at the PBC. I know they would not even accept an application from Tim Bradley. Some of the disparaging things he had to say about PBC is just totally off the wall. He's really actually funny. And I really cannot believe that I used to rock with this guy when he was fighting. And in my heart of hearts, when he fought Pacquiao, I try to pretend that he won that fight, but he didn't. He did not win that fight. And all I can say, I can't even believe I rock with a brother like that I didn't believe this brother would turn into the person he is today. And I don't want to badmouth him. He's like a company man. Let's just put it that way. And that's being very, very mild. He's a company man. All right. Like I said before, 20 people have been fired from ESPN. Nick something, I can't remember that dude's name, but he would talk bad about my Denver Nuggets, right? And I think he should have been fired too, because every time I listened to his commentation, it was all wrong, especially going through the basketball playoffs, right? Yeah, my Denver Nuggets are the champions. And like I said before, Nick, whatever his name is, he should have been fired. Tim Bradley should have been fired. Kendrick Perkins, I'm on the fence about, you know what I'm saying? He does say some stupid stuff, but he'll come back and he'll at least apologize for his stupidity. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. If you like this, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me see what you think about this. Matter of fact, drop a comment and let me know who you got to fight. Who you got on the fight, Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence coming up. Drop a comment because I'm going to be dropping a video about them, and we want to see who you guys want to think are going to win that fight. Rowdy Nation TV, click that like button, subscribe to the channel. We out.